Fat Moose Comics, established in 1982, is New Jersey's best and oldest comic book store. Moose has that rare, old-school comic shop feel and camaraderie, yet also remains a welcoming space for new fans. Visit them in Whippany or reach out via the Fat Moose Comics Facebook page. If you have children and are looking for a family-friendly store, look no further than Aw Yeah Comics. Visit one of their 3 locations, Harrison, New York, Muncie, Indiana, or Skokie, Illinois, and check out awyeahcomics.com for more. Their name says exactly how they feel about it. Aw yeah! Whether you're an independent filmmaker or you just love movies, don't miss these New Jersey film festivals. Brightside Tavern in Jersey City, Hang On to Your Shorts in Asbury Park, and Round Reel in Bloomfield. Submission information for filmmakers can be found at filmfreeway.com. Single Bound is a new podcast hosted by married couple Amy and Logan as they review single issues of comics. And if the title makes you think of Superman, you're not alone, as the Man of Steel is a regular topic of discussion. Listen and subscribe to Single Bound on Spotify and YouTube. Ever wonder what would happen if a person who knew barely anything about comics decided to absorb hundreds of Superman stories? Robbo is that kind of person, and that's exactly what he's doing on a new show called This Podcast Will Never Die. Listen and subscribe today. In the 1950s, George Reeves embodied the Man of Steel in Superman's first television adaptation, from its gritty black and white beginnings to the kid-friendly color years. To this day, an entire generation reveres George as their Superman, while for others, the show remains an overlooked, underrated chapter in the character's history. On this podcast, we bring everyone together as we break down each episode of Adventures of Superman, examining it within the context of the series itself, as well as the larger Superman mythology. Welcome to another exciting episode in the Adventures of Superman. I'm your host, Anthony Desiato. Joining me to discuss Season 4, Episode 6, Jimmy the Kid, is the host of Always Hold On to Smallville, returning guest, Zach Moore. Welcome back.
Hello there. Happy to be back here in 1950s Metropolis.
Season 4, we're doing it.
Season 4. So I have been, I don't know how many of your guests do this, but I have been watching every episode of this show as we go. I've, as I've said up before on this podcast, I'm sure I had all these DVDs. I have a childhood affinity to at least the first couple of seasons of the show, watching it on Nickelodeon, Nick at Night back in the day. So this is a perfect opportunity to me to open up these DVDs, watch them, watch along. So that's what I've been doing. And I guess got to say, I don't want to give it all away right now, but I'm glad that this is the episode I'm on so far in Season 4.
Right? I think I'd go so far as to say this is Jack Larson's finest hour on the show. I thought he was so great in this episode. And this one, I would say, certainly as far as what we've looked at to this point, and even looking ahead to the rest of the season, I'd say this is easily one of my top 2 or 3 of Season 4.
Jack Larson is to Jimmy the Kid as Tom Welling is to Transference on Smallville.
Yes.
For all you Smallville fans out there, you know what we're talking about, because he gets to do something else, show some range. You know, I enjoy this and him, and really like thinking about it. The Adventures of Superman as a show, right? Obviously, what's everybody's favorite part? George Reeves, right, as Superman, and Clark Kent, as at least you and I and several of your other guests have really gravitated towards this Clark Kent of his, this guy who's just living his life. But in addition to that, I would say Jack Larson's Jimmy Olsen is the thing that kind of sticks out and puts its stamp on pop culture, and is still really enjoyable most of the time.
Yeah, agreed. And this one was particularly a standout performance for him in a strong episode. This is another one of those episodes that I would put up against the black and white era. I think it holds its own, and I really enjoyed it. I found it was very engaging.
Yeah, and you know, I guess I expected going to the color years to be more wacky stuff, like I don't know, robots and aliens, and I don't know, like within a budget, right? Like a 1950s version of that. There's really not that, honestly. It's more stuff like horses and other things. So like, okay, like I guess it's inspiration from other TV at the time, maybe like Mr. Ed. I don't know, right? So, but they're telling, they're not going full like weird comic book. They're just being more silly, I guess, with already existing stuff. But this one, for example, absolutely, you can make this black and white and told me it was a season 2 episode, and I would have believed you. That's my point.
Yeah, that's the thing. No, this was a welcome episode to watch. The episode before this was Topsy Turvy. Rich and I, we had a great discussion about it, but it was short. We recorded for like 12 minutes and we said what we needed to say. So this was, like I said, just a welcome episode to have. And I think it will lend itself to a more robust conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So in this one, a doppelganger poses as Jimmy to steal evidence from Clark. It aired on April 28, 1956, written by Leroy Zarin, directed by Phil Ford. And our guest cast included Damien O'Flynn as Gridley, Diana Darren as Maisie, Rick Vallon and Steve Conti as the Thugs, and of course, Jack Larson as Kid Collins. So I guess
featuring Jack Larson.
Yeah, got to include him again in his dual role. And obviously, we already gave, I think, our overall impression. But anything else you want to say, big picture about this one before we get more specific?
The only other thing I wanted to mention, just about season 4, probably in general, is and I guess this episode is actually one of them, like Superman. There's a lot less Superman in these, it seems, which is strange to me. You would think, oh, we're making it more for the kids, right? They want to see more Superman flying around, but I'm like, actually, no. Like, there's stuff about horse racing and circuses and machines and like in submarines, and I'm like, what? For all you who haven't watching every episode, you have no idea what you're missing. So it's like, well, we're doing a drawing a number contest, and I'm like, there seems to be such a small amount of Superman. And on one hand, I'm like, oh, they want to save on special effects, but on the other hand, it's like, I don't know, y'all. If you're trying to aim more towards a younger audience, which seemed to be the objective for these latter seasons, it's surprising you wouldn't see more Superman in the costume. So that's just an observation I made watching through these, as I have been doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair point, that especially for the color, kid-friendly era, you'd expect more Superman generally. But also, I did think the same thing with this episode in particular, because a lot of the episodes, arguably most, I mean, I'd really have to go back and make a list, but most episodes, they give you at least a dash of Superman early in the episode, and then a lot more Superman at the climax. Usually, I would say that's kind of the general way it goes. But in this one, I mean, we don't get any Superman until very deep into the proceedings. So this one really stood out to me in that respect. All right, we'll get into this here. We open on the Standish Arms apartments, where Jimmy returns from a food run and joins Clark, who's burning the midnight oil to put a stop to some foul play. Good old Jimmy. He's always coming back with coffee and sandwiches or something to that effect. In this case, we get a little insight into Clark's dietary preferences. Jimmy has a note about how they didn't have Swiss, so we got him American instead, and milk. Very wholesome.
Truth, justice, and the American cheese for Clark Kent on his sandwich. Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you think they were having just cheese sandwiches, grilled cheeses, or maybe some deli meat with cheese on top? Like, what do you think they would go for, these guys?
I'm thinking cold cuts, I mean, because it's late at night, right? So what's available, right? Deli's shutting down, right? Well, hey, we made these a few hours ago, but it's all we got left here. So that they're eating cold cuts at, late at night. Also, as we've mentioned on the podcast over the episodes and seasons here, I don't know what time it is late at night. Clark Kent, he's still in his suit.
Always in his suit.
He's in work mode.
Won't even take the jacket off. It was a different era.
I understand that they filmed all these together in like 2 days and they want to have all these interchangeable scenes, but I get that, like, at the Daily Planet. Fine. Right. But the scene of Clark in his apartment late at night, and he's worn like a robe before, I know, at least once. Yeah. So it's just funny to see him in his 3-piece suit, because, as we've gotten older, and I don't know about you, but if you see people, they're dressed up and you want to, I'm in my suit today, and you feel great. But then, when you get home, you don't want to wear that suit the rest of the day. That's the jacket's coming off. You're loosening the tie, right? I guess he's got the Superman costume under there, so he can't get too comfortable maybe because Jimmy's around. But it's just, that's the through line of this show, is this guy. They go to prehistoric times. They go to the jungle. Doesn't matter where they are. He's in his 3-piece suit.
Yeah, I mean, we have some island excursions coming up this season where he's actually in proper island wear, which was great to see. But here, not to harp on this, but I mean, that's the thing. We understand the production realities and limitations of the show. We're not even asking for a different wardrobe for him. It's just like, take off the jacket. Take off the goddamn jacket.
Oh, man. Look, we're in season 4 here. We're just finding threads of conversation to talk about, and this is one of them. So.
Yeah. The other thing I thought of, and this is not the only time in this episode where I'm like, it's a good thing this wasn't season 1 Clark, because I don't know if season 1 Clark would have been as understanding about not getting the exact sandwich that he wanted. But this Clark, no problem. And then Jimmy has a line about how he's working 26 hours a day. And you know what that made me think of? That scene from the special edition of Superman the movie with Clark and Jor-El.
You cannot serve humanity 26 hours a day, 24, as it is in Earth time. So I actually thought that as well.
I figured you would. I know you like that moment, so it made me think of that. Then, over at Gridley Investments, 2 thugs admit to their boss that they were unable to find the evidence they were looking for in Clark's office, namely sworn affidavits and marked bills. They searched everywhere except a locked steel cabinet. Gridley introduces his contingency plan, Kid Collins, a dead ringer for Jimmy Olsen, who proves he's the real deal by answering questions about his stay at the state prison. So what'd you think about Jack Larson in his first appearance here as Kid?
You know, this is the kind of episode of Smallville did it would annoy me. Because they did do it. They were like, hey, look, it's Aaron Ashmore. He's a secret agent, or Aaron Ashmore. He's a gangster. No disrespect to Aaron Ashmore. Just that's the version of Jimmy Olsen we're talking about, right?
Right.
And they're like, hey, sweetheart. They play it up all this like they just go, they turn up the stereotype to 11 with like, oh, look. So I was kind of expecting, oh, he's going to be a gangster. They're going to turn it up to 11. And yes, he has a little bit of an accent, a little bit of edge to him, but he just plays it. Jack Larson plays it like an adult instead of a kid, like he does with Jimmy Olsen. That's really the only shift. And guys, accent's a little different. But I was impressed. It was not just some gangster stereotype for him.
100%. Edge is the perfect word. It felt like he was saying everything through gritted teeth, but he wasn't over the top with it. It wasn't like, I guess back in season 2 when he did his whole Bogart impression when he was the detective.
Oh, he's the private eye. Yeah.
Semi-private eye, right? That was the episode. You know, there I felt like we were a bit more over the top. Like this actually was surprisingly grounded, especially for season 4. I would not have been surprised if they really went big with it, but I liked it. And tough man from the jump, because one of the guys, thinks he's Jimmy, right? And pulls a gun and he knocks the gun away and punches him in the gut. I'm like, yeah, man, this is great.
Established dominance immediately in the room. Yeah. Because the guys are like, are you crazy? That's Jimmy Olsen. Why'd you bring this guy in here? And he shows them that he's not. So I like good for you, Jack Larson. I'm sure he enjoyed getting to play a different angle on the character.
Yeah. I can only imagine this was a fun one for him to do. Yeah. I mean, a great first scene there. The next day, one of the thugs abducts Jimmy from Clark's office at gunpoint, and Jimmy comes face to face with his double. What'd you make of all this?
So, it's the 1950s. They're not doing a split screen or anything like that. So they have body doubles or stand-ins, probably the guy who, you don't want a show like this probably didn't have the budget for like a stand-in because in, TV shows and movies that like have a stand-in to kind of test the lighting and that sort of thing. So their actors not standing on a hot set for hours and hours. So I don't know who this guy was. They had, whenever it's not Jack Larson, it's the other stand-in. Didn't quite match Jack Larson. He's a little lankier. I don't know. The neck, like you could tell, because sometimes you look at, like Superman 3, for example. Like Superman 3, there's a battle in the junkyard. The way it's shot, whoever Christopher Reeve's stunt double was, like that guy has the same like shoulder and neck as Christopher Reeve, so you could shoot it. And like, man, like with some clever editing, it really does fill you. This, I'm like, okay, that guy's standing in front of Jack Larson over his shoulder. That is not another Jack Larson. So I don't want to harp on it because it's the 50s and they filmed it in 2 days. But that, of all the weaker parts of this episode, like they did not hide the stunt double very well.
Yeah, I mean that's all fair. And whenever this comes up, it's like, once again, we recognize the limitations and also the fact that these were never meant to be viewed on big high def televisions. So
no, not at all.
And though they were filmed in color and were now ultimately seen, they initially were in black and white. So there are multiple layers where maybe it would be easier to be fooled. But I think it was effective in serving as that contrast between the two versions of them in terms of their demeanor, their attire. And at the end of the scene, they start switching clothes. Jimmy very reluctantly under duress, of course. But accomplishes that.
No, that was good. And kind of how they kind of size each other up as fun, like as they each have a bad opinion of the other. And yeah, character wise, it was fun. I'm just only commenting on the production value in a couple of spots, but no, because I was like, well, how are they gonna? They're like, okay, they got this Jimmy Olsen. Like, what are they gonna do? And I'm like, Oh, they're literally just going to kidnap him and make him wear the other one's clothes.
Yeah, just send him undercover. I mean, it's funny because this one definitely has echoes of the season 2 standout, The Face and the Voice, where you have Boulder undergo plastic surgery and vocal training to serve as a double to Superman. I mean, one of my favorite episodes of the entire show. And there you have all that business about the plastic surgery and everything. I mean, here it's just, this guy's got a doppelganger out there, but this is far from the only show to deal with. We could go along with it.
When I was on last season, the magic necklace episode, I think I was asking you, yeah, so they do like possessions and body swaps. And you're like, nope, they don't do any of that ever. And so this is like the 50s equivalent of that. It's like plastic surgery for that episode you're mentioning, or like, hey, this guy looks just like him. Kind of. So, I mean, is it that? I mean, yeah, is it far-fetched? There's another person who looks just like Jimmy Olsen. And he happens to be a gangster, and they, yeah. It's also far-fetched that, oh no, an alien has possessed Jimmy Olsen and now he's doing crazy stuff. So pick your suspension of disbelief, right? I mean, that's where you are with it. So
yeah. It worked.
Now, also, you know what this reminded me of?
What?
Is season 1 Smallville, episode 0, right? With Lex. Lex has an old friend who her fiance was cheating on her, and she had a brother or whatever, and that guy finds a body double, like an exact like a doppelganger. That's the word. A doppelganger.
Yeah.
Right. He was like, yeah, I was like, Lex gets kidnapped by somebody he thought he had killed. And like, that's the big mystery. And the reveal is like, oh yeah. Like the brother of the guy or the girl, and was like, I was sitting at a diner. I looked across the counter. This guy's a spitting image of him. So I hired him, and I decided to pull this whole the game trick on you, And it's like, look, they're still using this plot 60 years later. So there you go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a tried and true trope. Okay, I got something that I know you're going to love, because you love when I bring in the deleted scenes.
Oh, we have more deleted scenes?
We have a deleted scene, yeah.
I'm excited.
Okay, so once again, tip of the hat to Michael Haid, author of Flights of Fantasy, which I'm looking at on my book. Once again, he went through all of the original scripts. So where appropriate, he'll have notes in his book about deleted lines or scenes. And so in the episode, after this business about Jimmy and his double switching clothes, we cut to the Daily Planet and we have Clark and Lois in the hallway. But there was a deleted scene that was written, but I don't think anything was filmed and like left on the cutting room floor. They had that luxury. So I think this was just written. But there was a deleted scene between Clark and Perry where it came out that, because, all this business about the evidence, right? These affidavits and the marked bills, we find out in the scene between Clark and Perry that the people who have signed these affidavits have skipped town. So they can't be replicated. So if the bad guys are able to get a hold of this evidence, that's it. The other thing that comes out in this exchange between Clark and Perry is that Clark has not turned over any of this evidence to the police yet, because he's got to get the story first. So as soon as he's got his story, then he'll hand everything over to the police. So that's what we learned in that scene that got cut.
Journalism worked differently in the 50s.
Yeah. So anyway, there was that.
I didn't really see that. That's funny. Like, I didn't see that as a plot hole of like, why can't they just get new affidavits? But that does make sense. That's good on them for accounting for that potential plot hole. I respect that.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to say, I mean, I don't really think that jumped out at me either. But then when I read that scene, I'm like, oh yeah, that's actually a good point. Okay. So throughout this next sequence of scenes at the planet, quote unquote, Jimmy acts very out of character. He whistles at Lois and later calls her honey, puts his feet up on the desk in the bullpen, smokes a cigar, places bets, mouths off to Perry, and files a story about how Superman blowed away a fire hotter than the hot seat at Sing Sing, much to the dismay of Perry. So this is where I felt most like I was in the world of Smallville, right? In an episode like Transference, where Clark and Lionel switch bodies, or any episode where Clark is under the influence of red kryptonite. It's just where you have a character acting not like themselves and the other character's not sure what to make of it. Always great fun. And I thought this all came off great. What did you think?
Oh, I really enjoyed it. No, and I was absolutely thinking of Smallville, like either like a Nicodemus flower or red kryptonite, or this is Alpha Jimmy here. Just just the image of him just putting his feet up and smoking at his desk, and we get to see the newsroom.
I know.
We get to see the newsroom. Amazing. What this world building? Like, you're always talking about all these other reporters. This is the first time we've seen this, right?
I feel, well, this version of it, in the black and white era, there was at least one instance, maybe a couple, where you saw a newsroom fleetingly. But yeah, here, and I counted not one, not two, but 3 other workers.
Wow.
I mean, they're crossing quickly. We don't see much of them, but like, there are other people who work at this paper. Amazing.
I get, and that is Jimmy's desk. Like, he has his own desk in the newsroom down there.
Yeah, and I guess this is confirmed because when the thug comes in to abduct Jimmy earlier, and he finds him in Clark's office, Jimmy's like, "Well, normally I'm not even in here. Normally I'm in the city room." So it's like, yeah I think that's where he normally is.
Chekhov city room. Look, they set it up with their dialogue. If they mention the city room, you're gonna see the city room. So, no, I loved all that, and him like mouthing off the prayer, "Hey, watch it, Dad," because he's like an old guy, and
that was great.
I was like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, when Perry knocks his feet off the desk and then Jimmy like jumps up and gets in his fall, that was great. Oh, man, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could, I mean, from their point of view, like, well, did Jimmy finally snap? Because Perry's been so mean to him for years. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed this whole thing. And then, so, this is your one other Superman action. By the way, this is all kind of ties together.
Yes, yes.
There's a fire, and so Clark runs out the window, and then we see stock footage of a fire, and we see Superman fly downward. And I don't know, like they make zero attempts to even like superimpose him flying towards a fire or put George Reeves in an area with fire. Like it's literally all stock footage. I was a little disappointed in that. Right? That's the big save. That's your big Superman action. That's why we both literally forgot about it. I think.
Yeah, totally forgot about it. Totally forgot about it. But exactly for that reason, because as I was watching this, and it's been a while since I watched it I didn't remember exactly. And I was saying to myself, probably the exact same thought as you. I'm like, all right. I mean, let's see how they're going to pull this off. And they give you nothing. I mean,
they just decide not to. No, they're like, you know what a fire looks like. Here's some stock footage. And yeah, okay. So the end of it, as always, George Reeves, saves it because he's like calling in the story in a phone booth. It's just funny. Like he's like, he just saved the day as Superman, and he's in the phone booth as Clark Kent, and calls it into Jimmy, right, to tell the story, to write the story. And it's going to be his big scoop, but then Jimmy turns in this story because he's not Jimmy, he's just some gangster. And I don't know. I guess if I'm Perry White, the Daily Planet has standards and practices. So I totally respect that, but hey, that definitely had a certain voice to it. It was good. It really drew you in, his explanation of how the fire went down, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, it had character, right? There's right? Definitely put a colorful spin on it. But I mean, yeah, putting it in sort of prison lingo and terms and everything. Yeah.
In layman's terms, I don't think we've ever read anything or heard anything Jimmy's written on this paper before. I have nothing to compare it to.
Well, what's funny. This probably would have been too mean to the real Jimmy, but it's like, what if this guy's article was great? And Perry was like, this is amazing. Like
the best article you've written. That would have been good. That'd be a good bit. This is an hour-long show. They would have played with that a little more, He's like, hey, it's not so bad being this kid.
Yes.
Walk a mile in his shoes, right? But no, actually no, because your boss is constantly mean to you. Anyway, but no, everyone's reaction to him being the way he was great. Like Clark's even, I think him and Clark have the least kind of, butt up against, but like him, like whistling at Lois and saying, honey, and she's like, oh, Jimmy, oh my goodness. All right. So like immediately clocks that. And you know what? This is a good episode for Lois Lane because it actually shows that she has some journalism skills. She has to be the one that stays late and fixes the article. She's turning it in. And then she's chewing out Jimmy for being like, hey, I had to stay late and fix this dumb article that he turned in that was bad. What is your problem, man? And she picks up that he's not Jimmy. So I thought, in an era of the show where Lois is underserved, I thought she was well served in this episode.
I felt the same. The fact that, and we'll get to it, that she's the one who figures out this isn't really, was great. Yeah, this was a good episode. I mean, it was a great episode for Jack Larson, but it was a good episode for Noel Neill as well, especially, in light of what we typically see in these episodes. So, yeah. That was I gotta say this. So this is season 4 of the podcast. And I'm here in a random middle episode. Everybody, let's start a new counter, listeners. Every time Rich Roney brings up Lois buying a new hat, all right, that is his favorite factoid. I love listening to you guys talk about it, and I know exactly what he's referencing. Right? Yeah.
But I think every time you guys talk about Noel Neal and raises and the difference between Phyllis Coates and Noel Neal, he's like, you know what Lois is going to do with that raise? She's going to buy a new hat. And I just laugh because I know exactly what it's referencing, but it's so funny because every time it comes up, he mentions it. So shout out to Rich. You guys are great. I love listening to your episodes about it, but I know you listeners out there know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. That's hilarious. I mean, here's the funny thing. So I've known Rich now for over 20 years, met through our local comic shop. And one of our favorite running bits is that we'd always talk about television. One of the shows we would talk about was White Collar on USA with Matt Bomer.
Right.
And I don't know how much of White Collar Rich ever actually saw, but I know that he saw one episode where guest actor Tim Matheson was on the show and his character was hitting golf balls off a roof. And I know Rich saw that episode because I swear for years, whenever that television show came up, he's like, oh, it's a great show. That episode with Tim Matheson hitting golf balls. I'm like, yeah, man, like that was one small part of the series. In that case, I really think it was because that was pretty much all he had seen. So that's what he had to say about the show. In this case, obviously he is watching all the episodes, but yeah, the bit about the hat, that really is, that's the go-to in terms of this version of Lois. Absolutely.
Yeah. That made an impression on him, and now it's made an impression on all of us. So thank you, Rich.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if it's one that people have already heard or one that's in the can that will be coming, but I know I use that myself at some point because it's like now that's kind of the shorthand for it.
Yep.
Amazing. Later, Kid is let into Clark's apartment by what is she, a house manager? She's not like a landlady.
Yeah, I don't know because this is a probably different set than his apartments have been before. So maybe he moved, whatever, right?
Yeah.
We never got that establishing sign of his apartment before now. So who knows what his living situation is, but right now, apparently there's a head mistress of his apartment complex or his whatever house he lives in or bed and breakfast or whatever. Right. So she has access to his apartment. I thought that was pretty funny because he's trying to get in, right? The kid here. And she's like, oh, Mr. Olson. Are you looking for Mr. Kent? Oh, you probably want to wait inside. And she just lets him in. So I thought that was cool. And you know what? Later on, Clark plays it pretty cool. This is not season 1 Clark would not have been as understanding as season 4 Clark here, right? About the situation.
God. Later when he's talking to her and she's like, oh, I hope I didn't do the wrong thing by letting him in. I said to myself, lady, are you lucky that this is not season 1? Because he would have bitten your head off just like poor Miss Backrack at the Daily Planet in the Night of Terror episode. I don't think she ever recovered from that, from losing that note, seemingly.
I think, he did the right thing. I mean, here, because what is he going to do? I mean, this guy clearly looks like Jimmy.
Yeah.
She's probably let him in before. Like I said, they have a pre-established relationship, which is the whole point of why they set this guy up in this situation to begin with. So it really is paying off well for these gangsters, this plan so far.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no, that, I don't think she was out of line in terms of what she did, right? And I'm glad,
Clark
he didn't bite her head
that.
off. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, Kid gets in and he searches around, and not only does he find the affidavits in Clark's closet, but he hits the jackpot. The Superman costume.
I was so excited watching this. I'm like, wait, he's in the closet? Is he gonna find the Superman costume? Oh my, he found the Superman costume. I was legit like leaning forward in excitement as he was searching through the apartment because I'm like, surely they're not gonna do. Oh, they did it! Like that would be this in another reality here. You and I are sitting here talking about like, you know what? What a missed opportunity. They had a guy searching around Clark Kent's apartment. He didn't find the Superman costume, but they did it. So I was very impressed they went there with this.
Yeah, well, and now we're past season 1, so now he has more than the one costume, right? Because like the whole thing in the stolen costume in season 1 was Clark couldn't wear his costume that day because he had to get his Daily Planet physical. So that's why it was there. But since that point, and I guess maybe Panic in the Sky was another instance, like we have seen a backup costume hanging in the closet. So he has more than one.
Only one though. I think I'm thinking Lois and Clark. We just got like a whole row of them, but like he's got one. That's growth. So he knows that he needs a second costume, and this guy just finds the costume. Immediately raised. I don't care about any of this other affidavit stuff anymore. This has totally raised the stakes now that he knows who Superman is.
Yeah, and I was thinking to myself, all right, we better get Chris White to fuel up the plane because we're getting another inhabitant of Superman Mountain.
Superman Mountain.
One more.
He calls the gangsters now.
Yeah,
right? And he's like, I know who Superman is.
Yeah, exactly. And they make plans to meet up. And so Gridley and the gang, they leave Jimmy in the office. They're going to come back and take care of him permanently once they wrap all of this up. But just then, Kid's wife, seemingly, because she refers to her husband. So Kid's wife enters and mistakes Jimmy for Kid and unties him very thoroughly. She unties him so much that even after he's up out of the rope, she's still untying him.
I thought this is pretty clever because this is we didn't mention this character before, but when the Kid Collins, when he shows up for the first time to meet the gangsters, and this woman's with him, right? And they, hey, get the broad out of here. I don't know. They say some gangster thing so she leaves before any of this is discussed or set up. So she has no knowledge of any of this switch. So to her, as far as she knows, she comes in, this new crew that her husband hooked up with has now tied him up to a chair. So of course she's going to untie him. Like, I thought that all worked out very well. Like, it's a ridiculous set of circumstances, but it all played out very well, I thought.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, it serves them right. I mean, you kicked her out, so she doesn't know what the plan is.
Yeah. Serves you right. Your chauvinism, what you're undoing, gangsters, serves you right. But then he's like, Jimmy like calls her baby. He's like, oh, you never call me that. Like, it was like him realizing what's going on and acting like, but now that's what's fun. Now he has to act like the other guy, the way the other guy's been acting like him. So it's great stuff. It's great stuff here.
And that's, I would say, the only, and it's not even a complaint because they only had so much time here, but that's the one aspect of this. We got to see plenty of Kid as Jimmy, and that was great. I wanted more of the flip of that, of Jimmy having to try to pretend to be this gangster. But yeah, that bit between them was great. So then there's a scene we were referring to earlier. Lois finds Kid in Clark's office once again, trying to get into this cabinet. And when he doesn't understand what she means about getting the Banner story, she realizes he's a fake. I mean, just great. I loved her figuring this out. The music in this scene I thought was really good. It just set the mood.
Tension was rising, as she started to realize it. Yeah, because it's not like it was her being smart, like clocking that he didn't know terminology that they should know because they work at a newspaper. She's like, what do you mean, Banner? You don't know what Banner story? Wait a minute, you're not Jimmy. Because she adds it all up with him acting so strange, plus him continuing to try and break into Clark's he's like, I'm looking for passes. It's like, well, you'll just have to wait till Clark comes back and he'll give you those passes. You get out of here, young man. So
yeah,
good stuff.
Yeah, I thought, you know what? I thought they found the perfect balance in this episode where you would not have expected anyone to really figure this out earlier because who would think there's a double who's posing as Jimmy? It's, it's like, why would they think that? They just figure out he's acting weird today.
Right.
So I felt like they played it to just the right point. And then, for Lois to be the one to put it all together. And like you said, laying it all out and putting it together was great. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Clark returns home and we talked about this. He lets the house manager off the hook for letting Jimmy in. He finds that his costume is missing. And then he calls into the planet, I think, at that point to check to see if Jimmy is there.
Oh, again, like just the world of Clark Kent. He knows the Night Watchman. He's like, hey, Hank. Like, I don't know what his name was, but he's like, he calls him by his first. It's like they talk all the time. Like it's this world, this off-screen world building. Like Clark, he is going in and out late all the time because he's Clark Kent. He would know the Night Watchman. He's like, hey, is Jimmy Olsen there? Oh, and again, why is Lois there late? Because she had to stay late to redo the story to the fake Jimmy did. So it all makes perfect sense. Like it's all in a show where they cut a lot of corners to kind of get from A to B. I really like how everything kind of makes sense and connects logically,
Yeah, this was tight. I mean, this was a tight episode.
Yeah, that's the good word for it.
Credit where credit's due. I mean, look, a lot of these episodes we talk about, there are a lot of times where I find them lacking in various respects. But credit where credit's due. I mean, this is an episode that I think really hit the bullseye.
Listen, y'all haven't seen what we've seen. If you're not watching along episode by episode, you don't appreciate this episode the way we appreciate this episode. Okay.
I know, coming off a topsy-turvy. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything better. All right, back in Clark's office, Lois notices the costume and is seemingly gobsmacked by the idea that Clark could be Superman, which I guess this isn't so much a criticism about this episode. It's more just kind of like a series-wide thing. Half the time, she's convinced that Clark is Superman. And then the other half, it's like she can't even entertain the notion. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's no continuity here in this show, and you always talk about it here, where is Clark Kent is he a pushover loser, or is he a go get him? Oh no, we're in trouble. Call Kent kind of guy. Who knows? It took them a while to even recognize the costume. I was like, is she not even going to mention this costume? because it's sitting here for a pretty long time. She's like, hey, where'd you get that? And so yeah, you would think she'd be like, because this is season 4 now. Again, no continuity, but you'd be like, I knew it. Like, you think that would be her explanation. And I guess they kind of do that at the end, but to a very, very small degree. We'll get there. But
yeah, I mean, as far as why she didn't notice it right away, I'm actually okay with that, because he had like bundled it up. It was, tied up a little bit. I mean, if it were full on just hanging there, but it was bundled up enough. And obviously she's preoccupied. She's distracted by the fact that Jimmy's not Jimmy. So at that I was okay with.
She's in a life or death situation. You're right. It's not just hanging for people who might not have seen it or whatever. It's not like hanging on a hanger. Like it's wrapped, the cape's all wrapped around it, and we see the blue part, but from where she's sitting, it might just be like a red blanket. So fair enough.
Yeah. Now, unfortunately, she does spill the beans that Perry White also has a key to Clark's cabinet. Outside, the real Jimmy comes upon Gridley and company in the alley and poses as Kid. And this is what I wanted so much more of. It's a great setup. I know they didn't have time, but I wanted more of that. Jimmy races into Perry's office and is immediately knocked out by Kid.
Well, in the alley there, they're talking just a little bit, because over the phone, Kid had said, hey, you want to know who Superman is? I'll tell you for a price. And then before he walks off, the gangster's like, hey, wait, who's Superman? And Jimmy's like, well, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Like, just completely oblivious. But I like how the guy's like, no, well, we're going to play it his way. Like, they're deferring to just all this. Like, it's fun to see all these gangsters maneuver around everybody's. No one knows what's going on. Like,
yeah. I mean, I guess as far as their deference to Kid, I mean, he's proven himself pretty capable very quickly here. So I guess I can kind of.
We'll play it the kid's way. Like, okay, let's play it out. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. So Jimmy gets knocked out immediately. And then the Kid.
That was disappointing. I was like, I wanted more Jimmy versus Jimmy. But again, like, they're like, well, we're not doing a split screen. Our stunt double doesn't look very much like him. Let's just knock him out immediately. That was a little bit disappointing to not see like Jimmy versus Jimmy, right?
Well, it's also. Again, it's a great episode for Jack Larson, no matter what. But I guess, it would have been cool if Jimmy could have really had a big win in this episode. And maybe that could have been an opportunity for it. I don't know exactly how it would have played out or what I would have wanted per se, but it's like, I mean, he gets out, thankfully, right? And he's able to fool them outside. So, there's something there. But I mean, it would have been cool if he could have had more of a win for himself in this episode.
Or the classic like standoff of like, which one's the real Jimmy? You have to decide, Clark, that sort of thing. Another option, I guess. But anyway. Yeah.
So Perry hands over the key and gives his word that he'll wait 10 minutes before calling the police. And he's going to hold to that because he gave his word.
Back in the 50s, a man's word meant something,
I mean, this is far from the only time we hear that in this show. They do hold true to that.
This is very actually merciful of Kid Collins, not just to shoot them all, right? But I guess a lot of times on the it's the color era of the show, right? I feel like a lot of the gangsters like, we can't murder them. That's too much heat, right? They don't. I mean, fair enough. Like, if their cops are going to come after you for stealing some money, okay. If they're going to come after you for murdering people, it's a little heavy. So that logic does stand. I will say, watching all these episodes, I always get a little bit excited when I did they just shoot somebody? But without fail, like someone's either wearing a bulletproof vest or it's a dream, or I don't know, like no one ever dies. Like, I get excited about, we got hardcore, we killed someone again. Not that I'm like have this bloodlust for people to die on this show, but I'm thinking first season where people would die pretty like regularly, but they always walk it back. Whenever you think even somebody got shot, they walk it back on this era of the show.
Wait a second. So all right, there's a couple of points I hadn't connected yet until we're just talking about this now, because Kid makes it out of this episode alive.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that.
Yeah, okay. I don't know how this didn't dawn on me until right now, but all right, we'll talk more about that. So, but he gives his word. I thought
for sure all these people were dead.
Yeah.
Because of the knowledge they have.
Yeah, that for sure. But the business about keeping your word, I mean, it's one of those things in an instance like this. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you could, but they want to kind of impart to the kids, like if you give your word, even to a criminal, you keep it.
Right. 10-minute head start.
Superman finally arrives and confers with them, and then he flies off after Kid. And there is, even in that brief scene of Superman and the planet, Lois, right? She makes a remark about the costume.
Yeah.
Doesn't she? And he has to quickly brush it off, but it's like, I like that little acknowledgement of it in that, that moment. The Gridley gang returns to their office to find Superman bust out of their safe and punch them all out. He punched them.
Yes. So this is season 1. Superman is back. So it's funny. So we've seen the criminal, the head guy, Grimsley, right?
Gridley.
Gridley. Sorry. The head gangster.
Okay.
We've seen him open up the safe before earlier, right? So we know it's there and it works. And then he tries to go open this safe to give Kid Collins the money so they can all split up, right? And it doesn't open. And they're like, "What, did you forget the combination?" Like, no, I know the combination. I got to try it again. And it doesn't work. And then you hear Superman's voice. You're like, where's it coming from? And he busts out of the safe. That's incredible. Like he got there. He obviously, I guess, just ripped it off. And then he's in the safe holding the door, just screwing with these guys. I love that. I love that little bit of personality. And like you said, I was shocked that he literally he engages in fisticuffs, Anthony.
You can say some fisticuffs. I know. Look, it's not as intense as it would have been, but it's something. It's not the karate chop. They don't run into each other and bump. Yeah. I mean, we actually got some punches. No, I agree. I like that bit of personality. It's like, yeah, because he could have just as easily just been waiting. But no, he's like, I'm going to mess with these guys. I'm going to hide in their safe. But yeah, so Kid Collins makes it out of the episode alive with the knowledge that Superman's costume was hanging in Clark's apartment.
Yeah, because he never told the other guys
no
that's where it came from. Well, it would have, okay. Obviously, he had Superman's costume. They know he went in Clark Kent's apartment. Like, I think they should figure it. Be able to figure it out.
Well, that's the thing. When he has that call to them from Clark's apartment, he's like, "You'll never guess what I found. Like, I know who Superman." It's like, yeah, where else did they think he was searching around? I mean, they're searching Clark's office, Clark's apartment. So,
right.
Yeah, I think there's a good case to be made that Gridley and those thugs also know. But at a minimum, Kid Collins knows, and all kidding aside, I genuinely think this guy was going to Superman Mountain. I just think it's the color error and they're not going to show it. But I think that, come on.
Well, with the same excuse that Clark uses, as we'll get to here in a second, work on, like, that's the public excuse, right?
Yeah.
So I guess that's the cover story for everybody, and fair enough.
I guess.
But yeah, no, I thought for sure that he would be shot because you can't have 2 Jimmy Olsens running around. Right?
Yeah. No, I know. It's, we talk about this all the time. Like, you wish people would come back. I mean, like, this is another instance. Like, Boulder's still out there. Now you got Kid Collins still out there. It's like, imagine an episode where they both came back. Oh.
Yes.
And then finally, Clark, they're all back in the Daily Planet, and Clark explains the Superman costume away by reminding Perry of the day in Superman's life story that Perry had asked him to write like weeks ago.
Oh, yes. I forgot all about that. I thought he was making that up.
Me too. Right? I thought he was like incepting Perry.
Yeah. Maybe, I guess. But no, it was a true story. I was like, not that the whole episode was hinging on me, like, okay, how are they going to explain this? Because, the stolen costume is an iconic episode of the show, one of the most well-known, right? I'm like, you can't really do that. We're all joking about Superman Mountain. You can't do that again. And so what do you do? And like, so his explanation is this, like, I was supposed to study Superman and take pictures of Superman and learn all about his costume. And so here it is. And I've studied his costume. I can give it back to him now. Dun, 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 dun. That's the explanation. I'm like, okay. How did that track for you?
It was lame. I thought that was lame. It was lame. It didn't like, I agree with you.
It didn't ruin the episode,
It didn't ruin the episode because they didn't make the whole episode hinge on the costume. Right. Yes. It just ended up being this like extra thing where it's like, oh man, on top of Jimmy being abducted and replaced and all of this, it's like now, his identity might also be exposed. So it was a small enough part of the episode that I didn't need a great explanation, but I needed one a little bit better than what we got. Cause it's also like, I don't know. So Superman gave him a costume to look at and take pictures of. Like, I don't know.
Well, the thing is, like, they have established that they're, I equate this with the new Adventures of Superman, where like it's common knowledge. Clark Kent and Superman are like best friends, right? In this, it's like, Kent, you have a way to contact Superman, don't you? Like, I think that's as far as they go. They don't really say they're buddies or whatever.
Right.
So there is the pre-established, they have some connection. So it's not totally random. Like, it's not like, why would you of all people have Superman's costume? So I'm like, it's fine. It's serviceable. But it was such an enjoyable episode overall. It's fun. We will allow the kind of mediocre explanation to potentially Clark Kent's identity being revealed to his coworkers in this episode.
Imagine if I was like, in Michael Hayde's book, there's a deleted scene at the end where Superman shows up at the jail cell and he's like, pack a bag. It's going to be cold.
Yeah. Now stay up here until I bring you back all the proper food. I'm with those guys. I would have tried to climb down. I'm like, I don't know. You think this guy's really going to come back? He left us here to die. We gotta try to get out. But anyway, no, that's the thing. There's no 100% confirmation like there was in that episode, because I mean, they're literally talking to him. Like they know without a shadow of a doubt. There's enough wiggle room here for everybody where we can just get away with even this kind of half-baked excuse of, well, I was writing this expose on Superman and I was studying his costume, so I guess I should give it back to him now, everybody.
No, I agree with you. And I think even though they're not explicit with it, I think we're meant to assume that eventually when that Sunday supplement comes out and they get a copy at the prison,
at the jail,
that kid will be like, oh, okay. So I think that's what the intention was. But yeah, it's wild. Color error, right? The fact that kid made it out of this episode alive, because if this had been season 1, certainly I can't imagine he would have survived.
No.
All right, man. All right, on a scale of 1 to 5, Great Caesar's Ghost, how many are we giving this one?
I gotta say, I'm gonna give it 5 out of 5. Great Caesar's Ghost. I thought this was a very enjoyable episode. Jack Larson's perhaps finest hour on the show, or half hour, as the show goes. And then the continuity of the costume, I did not expect that at all. Very pleasantly surprised they brought that back, despite the, half-baked explanation at the end, how they get away with it all. I thought that was great that they went back to that, because something they had established. I never expect continuity on the show. So whenever we get continuity, it gets extra points for me. So 5 out of 5, Great Caesar's Ghost.
It is a 5 out of 5 for me as well. I think this is a very, very, very strong one. For all the reasons you said. I mean, Jack Larson was great, and even whatever quibbles I have were just that. They were quibbles. I wanted more of Jimmy pretending to be Kid, and I wanted a better explanation for the costume. But otherwise, this was a really tight episode. He was fantastic in it. And it had some teeth and some stakes, and we got to see the city room, which I really clearly went a long way for us.
Absolutely. No, I mean, you said this a couple of times now, a tight episode, right? And I think that's the best way to put it, because I got to say, some of these season 4 episodes, I'm like zoning out. I'm like, how much time is left now? Can we wrap this up? I was literally on the, like, no exaggeration, on the edge of my seat when he found Superman's costume. I was like, wow, we're going somewhere. We're not just like playing out this one note story for 30 minutes. We have escalated now, which so few of these episodes, other than like, oh no, Jimmy and Lois are kidnapped, right? That's usually the escalation. This was a different kind of escalation. So good on the Adventures of Superman. You still got it in season 4.
They do. Well, that's the thing, because I feel like there are a lot of episodes that I kind of bump up against where I'm saying to myself and then literally saying it in these recordings. It's like, well, why isn't Superman just intervening? Right. Or he's not. We know he's not, because Clark can't give it. If he were to, it would give away Clark's secret. And that's kind of like the only reason why Clark is playing along. And like, those episodes are fine. But when those are kind of the only stakes, like, oh, if Superman arrives, people will know he's Superman. It's like, all right. But this was one where, like it really held your attention and didn't beg those questions. Yeah, man. Oh, it was so good. All right. Well, I thank you for joining me. What do you want to share with folks about Always Hold On to Smallville? People will hear this in the fall time.
All right. Well, Always Hold On to Smallville is a rewatch podcast for the Young Superman show that ran from 2001 to 2011 on the WB and the CW. And we have gone through each and every episode, which was the mission statement of the podcast. And now we have done these before, but we're continuing to do them, like Superman specials, movies, comic books. Now, there is a lot of extra Smallville content, like tie-in novels, tie-in comic books, other things. So we are going to be covering, we have and will be continuing to cover those as the show goes on. So even though we've covered all 218 episodes of Smallville, so either start at the beginning or pick your favorite episode and start from there. But if you're looking for another Superman TV show to watch and listen to a podcast along with, check us out. Always Smallville with 1S on social media. You can find us.
I encourage everyone to tune in. And also, it's like Adventures of Superman, folks. Like, if you like Jimmy the Kid, there are a lot of Smallville episodes that have a similar sort of vibe where a character is not acting like themselves. In fact, Zach has a whole counter about it. So.
I do.
So I hope people will check that out. But thank you, Zach. Thank you, audience. Always appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you come back next week. And until then, as always, remember, only Superman can do super things. This podcast is an affiliate of BCW Supplies. The next time you need to restock on comic book bags, boards, boxes, and more, be sure to use promo code FSP to save 10% on your order. That's FSP for Flat Squirrel Productions. It helps support the show too. Thank you. Another way to support the show and receive exclusive content, including the spin-off podcast Beyond Metropolis, is by becoming a member at patreon.com/Anthony Desiato. My sincere thanks to all patrons. Please subscribe, rate, and review today via your podcast platform of choice, and continue the conversation by joining us on social media. Flat Squirrel Podcasts is also home to Digging for Kryptonite, a Superman fan journey, a long-running weekly series mining Superman's vast mythology across time and media. Subscribe today. Another exciting episode is a Flat Squirrel production. Key art by Greg Schiegel and theme music by Dan Pritchard.